All right, right back at you. One more again. And
It's Thursday.
it is Thursday. One more time. It's almost Friday. That's what they should call it, Thursday. Almost Friday. They shouldn't call it Thursday. Thursday is Thor's Day,
Yep.
which is interesting that we get our names of the week from our Nordic friend.
Our friends.
But here's what it is. One more again, it's the Hoodlums in the house, and today we're going to talk a little bit about sound. And it's been an interesting second week, almost second week completed, because interesting things always happen in education, right, Webbs?
It is a roller coaster of fun.
Oh, facts, facts. And we're naming tonight's episode after the homies KRAFTWERK. If you don't know who KRAFTWERK is, go and avail yourself of that knowledge. I name these episodes after iconic people, not so I can tell you about them, so that you go use the Googles. So, KRAFTWERK, if you're a fan of pop music, you have heard KRAFTWERK's influence through the decades. Very important band to have on your Spotify list, on your Apple Music list, or whatever. Just because they are a pivotal band for a lot of different reasons. Hopefully, you will delve into what those reasons are, and we'll rock and roll. But we're going to talk sound tonight.
Catherine says that's an understatement.
Oh, facts. Big facts. Big facts. Now, we're the Hoodlums at Trust the Hoodlum on the Twitters, www.intelligenthoodlums.com. Webbs, who are you and what you do?
I'm Webbs. I'm a software developer by day and Batman by night. I was a teacher for 9 years. Wrote curriculum, digital learning coach, technology integration specialist, jack of all trades, that sort of a thing.
Facts, facts. Like I keep it real in the streets, like I do every week. 17 years.
Do you keep it real other places besides the streets?
Nah, everywhere else I tend to be
not real.
Not real. But in the streets, I keep it real, though.
All right.
Indeed. We're going to talk a little bit about music because, again, radio dominated before television. Music is sound, rather. Audio is an afterthought in a lot of classrooms with the dominance of video. When audio might be the best way to keep our students' attentions because your ears can't turn off. Your eyes can be shut, and I can not pay attention to what you're saying, but the sound will still. There's no way for me to forcibly, even if you try to forcibly close your ears, a lot of time the sound gets in there. One of the things that's really interesting when you start reading about how your ears work is it's functionally, that's why alarms are what alarms are, right? We don't have visual. The visual flashing of lights is one thing, but being able to hear that sound penetrating our inner ear is a powerful signal to wake up, that danger is here, etc., etc. And there's a reason why we prey on the audio. And that's something that we should go integrate into our classrooms very much. Webb, you got something to say?
I think that's super interesting because if you think about the human experience, right? A lot of people lean on music. We listen to it when we're angry. We listen to it when we're sad. We listen to it when we're worshiping. Music is like this very deeply embedded thing in culture. And for some reason, it doesn't permeate the classroom all that much. Either because, I don't know, maybe we're afraid of, songs that aren't school appropriate, but there's plenty of songs out there that and audio in general. Yeah, we don't go to audio very often. We tend to mostly rely on writing and typing things. We don't even hit video all that often, or images in general. I think there's a perception that if you're doing anything audio, it's easier somehow. Or if you're doing video or visual things, it's too easy. It's not challenging enough. Air quotes.
Yeah, I also think that there's there's certain things that teachers don't. So I had this teacher friend one time, right? Now this teacher had gone to culinary school, right? Gone to culinary school. had worked in a 5-star restaurant for years, and then became a teacher. And I was like, well, how are you integrating your culinary background into your class? She said, I'm not. Like, why are you not integrating your culinary background? That's something that you did as a professional for years. It's also a skill that people need. Like, being able to cook is a great skill to have, and being able to add the realia of this is why math is important, because you need to know the difference between weights and how many cups are different from liters. Never brought it in there. And I think sometimes bringing a we create this Maginot line of I'm not going to do this because that's not what the curriculum stands for. Like, that's not in the curriculum. So me bringing myself into my classroom outside of some pictures on the wall, perhaps in my degree or something, maybe isn't allowed. But it's really interesting to me that my favorite special as a kid was music, even though I am not musically inclined. I can play no instruments. But I learned so much history from Miss Hamilton. Eleanor Hamilton, word up, you one of the greatest teachers of all time. She taught us history through music. She taught us about cultural innovation through music. She really was a great teacher in terms of every song had its own story. There's a reason why the song was written, and this song reflected a certain time or a certain mood or a certain style. And then when we go and we unpack that mood, that style, that mood, that idea, then suddenly you're like, oh my God, this person was a reflection of their times, and you get another critical lens into how people lived. And I think that's something that if you don't do that, you are, I mean, you're really like shortchanging kids, man. You know,
Yeah.
I don't go anywhere without my headphones. Anybody who knows me, I have my headphones on all of the time. This is the only time I don't wear my headphones. I get up out of my bed in the morning. I put my headphones on. I'm listening to music from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. My wife hates it because she'll yell my name and stuff as I'm walking around. But I mean, I'm bumping something every like, and I Monday Apple playlist is the Get Up playlist. Tuesday, you got the your favorites cut pops on Apple Music. Wednesday and Thursday are dead days, and then Friday you get your new music every week. I plan my week. Like tomorrow, I know when I wake up, I'm gonna have new music that Apple thinks I'm gonna dig on my phone, and I'm gonna be bumping it. So it is what it is.
So two things. One, Kelly says, yes, I teach a lot of history in my music classes. And Brienne says, my fifth grade teacher did music Fridays and always played his guitar and taught us songs. He's my all-time favorite teacher still. Would have never learned Cats in the Cradle if it weren't for him.
Indeed, indeed.
Shout out to teachers. And I always find it fascinating when we have moments that illustrate how very different we are. Because I will listen to the same 5 songs for months on end. Before I eventually remember that my new music and Apple Music is there. And I'm like, oh, let me go check that out. Because there's probably something new there for me to listen to. If it weren't for you and Verena, I would probably never listen to anything new.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many. I think I like, because everything that's old is new again. I like people's interpretation of songs I've already heard before, even if they're bad. Because you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. And I also like when kids think that their music is new, and you're like, no, that's not a new song. Actually, Bob, this is actually. And so again, I'm a huge hip hop fan because hip hop to me is the greatest music of all time, and no one can. You can disagree if you want. It's the greatest music genre of all time because it is predicated on every other musical genre. You can go and learn about classical music through hip hop. You can learn about country music, jazz, new age, whatever, because someone listened to a song, sampled it, and built a beat off of it. You can't say that about any other genre of music. If you listen to country music, you just listen to country music, fam. You ain't get no other outside influences. If you listen to rock, again, I'm a big rock fan too. But again, I can listen to hip hop music now, and I'm like, dude, you straight stole that bass line from James Brown, from from an old Bobby Womack song. And it's like it creates this acumen. You end up having an acumen, especially when I was younger. This is the only thing I don't like about streaming music. When I was a kid with my father, shout out to my pops. When I bought music, what he would do is make me read the liner notes. And so I ended up learning about this person sampled it. Who is this person? Let me go to the library and read about this person. Oh, dang, dude is dope. Let me go listen to the original song now. Oh, I hear the parts that they stole from this dude. That's pretty dope. So then you get, that indoctrination. And now you're a big fan of I'm a huge a Brian Eno fan. I'm a huge, there's a bunch of guys that I would have never heard, and gals that I would have never heard of. I would never be a Janis Joplin fan had I not listened to old hip hop records. So it's a gateway drug. And I think the teachers need to be in the business of opening kids' eyes to other realities. Because when you're the black kid in the middle of the hood and you're listening to Guns N' Roses and Pantera and stuff, and people looking at you kind of weird, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna tell you why I'm listening to Pantera, because Public Enemy actually does stuff with Pantera. And what? Yeah, dude, they do it. I'm telling you, listen to the music, son. So, yeah, I mean, crossover stuff is dope. But anyway, let's get to the actual factual. I can talk music all night. Anyway,
Yeah.
So Webbs, if you had to say there was one song on your current playlist that kind of embodies your philosophy on education, what song would that be and why?
Let me see what I got. All right. Something that embodies my current philosophy in education. Wow. There are a few to select from on here. Part of me feels like if I were a teacher right now doing distance learning, it would be Sweatpants by Childish Gambino.
Oh, indeed. Oh, indeed. I wear sweatpants every day. Shout out to the sweatpants wearing teachers.
Let's see. I'm in a hurry and don't know why. That also might have been one if I were, or Trouble. I think if I were to pick a song off my playlist that embodies my teaching philosophy, it would be Smart Went Crazy by Atmosphere.
Oh, indeed. That's a great song. Atmosphere. Shout out to Slug and Ant. That's a great tune. Great tune.
Either that or Overture and All That Jazz from Chicago.
Indeed. So I'm not a big musical fan. It's not my joint. The only musical I tell you, a musical that I like ride with is Oliver. That is my joint. Like anytime that comes on TV, I rides with Oliver.
Interesting. I love musicals. Oliver is not one I've seen though.
Oh, dude. Oh, Oliver is the joint. Because Fagin is my favorite character. I think of any musical. I've seen Les Mis at the Kennedy Center. We saw Oliver at the Kennedy Center. So again, Miss Hamilton taking the little hood rat kids. She took us to the Kennedy Center, and she was like, "Look, you will look at this crap and you will enjoy it." And so Les Miserables, we went to see the musical first, and then we read the book, and we read I don't know why they don't have these things anymore. They used to have the pocket classics for elementary school kids. So all the classic novels, like in abridged forms, that were literally like a third of the size. So you end up like cheating. You knew the entire story and they cut out all the fat. So when I got to middle school and high school, I was laughing at kids like, dude, yeah, have you read so and so? Yeah, I read that. I read the 150-page version of that mug. And all the good parts of that piece would be good. And then when I actually read the actual book, I'm like, the dude who wrote the 150-page version, actually, you should pay him because he cut out all the bull crap out of here and he really got to the heart of the matter. So, yeah, shout out to Miss Hamilton. Hopefully she's still around. Now I'm gonna have to go search the internet for Miss Hamilton after we get off this joint.
You know what's interesting? I was thinking about this. A few people now have shared how a teacher using music in the classroom impacted them, and I'll never forget. A friend of mine tells the story all the time. When I was in high school, I switched schools after my freshman year. Went to a new school my sophomore year, and our English teacher gave us this assignment to bring in a song that we liked and explain why we liked that song. And I would guess to this day, if you asked him about it, he would remember it. that was one of the first assignments at the very beginning of the year, and so I had picked a song from Spin Doctors' Two Princes album,
Oh,
and
indeed.
it was not the title song. It was How Could You Want Him?
Uh-huh.
And I went into this whole like why I thought this was interesting, and then the symbolism behind it, and how it talks about Shakespeare. And I thought that was really interesting. And the way my friend tells the story, he's like, "You were like the only person who really like took the assignment seriously and went super into depth on why you like that particular song." Everybody else was like, "I don't know, it's just a good song."
Like literally, I mean, the only Spin Doctor song I know is Two Princes. I don't know any other songs off that album.
Oh my god, that whole album is really good. Pocket
Uh,
Full of Kryptonite. It wasn't Two Princes. It was Pocket Full of Kryptonite.
okay, I have to go and throw.
That whole album is really good. I
I have
bought
to
it.
throw.
I bought it from a pawn shop
Uh,
when I was like 15 or 14.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a great, really good album.
Interesting.
Yeah. But that stuck in my head. Like I remember doing that assignment, and because it gave me an opportunity to bring part of who I was into school.
I mean, music. You look by culture. Music is important.
Tiffany says we had to define all the words to "We Didn't Start the Fire." It was so fun. Have you seen that project where somebody's writing a verse to "We Didn't Start the Fire" for every month of 2020?
When I first got into the Clark County School District, this is what, man, 2007, 2008, something crazy like that. Ended up taking a course, and I wonder if that teacher still, I can't remember the lady's name, took a course, and she was a history teacher, and she had so she played We Didn't Start the Fire, and then she had the kids break it down every school year. They had to write a verse during the school year that would be for that current school year, and then make a video about how that deal looked. Really, she was a really innovative teacher. Cannot remember that lady's name to save my life, but yeah, that's cool. We did um there's a rapper called Skills out of Virginia who was famous for his every year he did a wrap up for the entire year. He went through every month and wrapped it up. Then other people started biting this thing, but Skills is a ghostwriter for, like, if you've heard him before, you ever listen to Puff Daddy, you heard him. You ever listen to a lot? There's a lot. He wrote for a lot of rappers. He's still writing for a lot of rappers. He's got Grammys that have his name on it that he just wasn't the person that spoke the words. So shout out to the ghostwriters too. All right, so
Also, I feel like the fact that we have hardly gotten past the first question is an indication of just how motivating music can be. Like one of my favorite assignments I did with my fifth graders when I was in the classroom was I had them break down all the lyrics to, oh my God, what is the song? I'll think of it. I think it was Aesop Rock. I can't think of the song. It was about Lucy. I'll think of it. Anyway, and that was one of my and their favorite assignments because it's basically poetry. So you're just breaking down poetry and having them, like paint a picture of what's happening in the song and what does that really mean and what does the timeline look like. And they were like, wait a minute, we get to listen to music in school, and it's like this weird novel thing where it really shouldn't be. It's a highly motivating thing too.
well, and but the reason why I kind of was like, hey, we're going to talk music is because I cannot work very well without my headphones on. I need some
No regrets.
to pop on. There is some science behind listening to the same song over and over and over again while you're doing work. You get into a rhythm, thoughts start to come through, and also it speaks to your subconscious. Like there's a lot of, especially you're talking about highly rhythmic, highly symbolic songs. When they start talking, things get cut in your head, and you start getting this. Oh my God! That's the answer to my problem because Biggie just told me and hypnotized that X Y Z was popping off. All right, cool. Now, one of the things I was dissuaded from when I was a younger teacher was, again, bringing music in there because it would disturb people, etc. We don't want kids to work with music because it would disturb their learning process, whatever. That's a bunch of bull. So we want to kind of look at audio as this vehicle for not only me to be a recipient of inspiration, but be also to inspire other individuals. And that this can happen, it doesn't matter how old the kid is, Your kids, especially to kinder, they can't write, but they can talk. So in terms of recording audio, it's going to be a lot easier for them to just speak than it is to try to pretend to use symbols that they have no idea what those symbols actually mean, and then regurgitate some story that's incoherent. So that being the case, let's start with podcasting. Whether you're a big podcast person, what's like a podcast that you, if you were just an adult giving a recommendation for other adults, it's a podcast that you would be like, hey, listen to this joint.
So I really like Cortex. That's one of my favorite ones. It tends to be focused on tech and like productivity and ways of working. It's the hosts are Mike Hurley. It's two dudes talking. Mike Hurley of Relay FM and CGP Grey, who also has a YouTube channel that's pretty good. And yeah, that's all they talk about. I was a big fan of the friendshipping podcast, but there was some fallout with the Cards Against Humanity situation, and they have not put out a podcast in a while.
That was a deep situation. I didn't know anything about this friendship. I read about the Cards from Humanity joint, and that was like mad deep, son.
Yeah, they have not put out a podcast since that whole thing went down, and they said it's because they're working on their book, but it's been like 2 months. So I don't know if they're ever going to publish a podcast again. And then the other big one I listened to, Hello Internet, but again, they haven't put out a podcast in a while either. I don't know if like it's a pandemic thing or what. And then Automators is another one I really like. They talk a lot about how to automate your work. They focus on different tools or developers or whatever. I really like that podcast as well. Yeah.
Dope. I mean,
I know you're a big fan of Planet Money.
I'm an NPR dude. Shout out to NPR, anybody who supports public radio. I pay my money every year because I think it's the best radio out. But that's kind of where I'm going to start. Is your podcast and NPR are going to be clean. They're going to be heavily researched and recorded in high quality, and also again, you're going to be able to trust the conclusions that are brought up on the show. And so if I was just dealing with kids, especially high schoolers, the Hidden Brain podcast, Shankar Vedantam, is amazing. Has some very, very cool guests. They tend to be longer, but again, if you're a high school teacher, because we're doing asynchronous work, listen to the hour podcast. Here are some questions that I'm going to pepper through, get through them, and then what you're going to do is you're going to pretend that you're interviewing the person that Shankar Vedantam interviewed, and you have different questions because you went and researched X, Y, and Z. There are tons of ways to put these things inside. The TED Radio Hour, great. We've seen the TED videos. Go ahead, Webs.
Oh my gosh, what is the name of it? It's the Moth podcast, the Moth Hour.
Yeah.
That's a really good one too, as far as like personal stories go. Also, I'd like to hear from folks if you're watching in the comments on Facebook or on Twitter or on YouTube. Let us know what your favorite podcasts are. But continue.
Tiny Desk Concerts are classic. Now, unfortunately, lots of really good bands, lots of good rappers, but they do not edit the songs. So, while it's really dope to listen to them, you can't really use a lot of those in the class. Like the Wu-Tang one is amazing, but you definitely cannot. You can't play that one in the classroom.
Yeah, I watched
like who they have?
What do you call it? Run the Jewels. I watched the Run the Jewels Tiny Desk.
Can't put that one in there. The Alicia Keys joint. Sudan Archives is off the chain. If you never heard them before, that one's pretty good. What other ones in here? I mean, they've got tons of really cool stuff inside there. But
we got a couple comments.
It's been a minute with Sam Sanders. This is the joint, because they really, if you want to talk about current events in kind of a not just a pop culture-ish, but also in a very modern way. He really talks that. If you want to get this anti-racism stuff like that, he really does that very, very well. Loves that. So, like, for example, protests today, yesterday, etc. The other really dope thing about the NPR stuff is this. And as we've kind of been saying over and over again and over again, embedding is the greatest thing of all time. So you'll notice next to each of these joint, doesn't matter which one it is, you can click the embed button. There it is. Copy the embed code. I can go to my Canvas course on my new page, edit the page out, throw my embed in there, and subtly NPRs inside my Canvas page.
We got a few suggestions in the or shares in the comments. Science versus it doesn't have to do with tech, but which it doesn't have to. Smartless, which I haven't heard of. You're wrong about. That's a good one. Sean Hayes and Jason Bateman. But Bree says neither is good for classrooms. Although science versus might be okay. And then over on YouTube, Kelly asked what was the first one I said, and so I shared the link to Cortex.
Excellent. So the NPR ones, does it take you some time? Any podcast, you should listen to it before you start presenting to your students, right? You don't want to go in blind where, oh, this seems like it's cool. Let me go throw some in there. Go ahead, Webs.
But to what you were saying, one of the cool things I think about listening, and even as like we create courses, and something I've heard and I've noticed about my own learning is I am much more likely to listen to a thing and go do another task. I'll do the dishes, I'll clean up the yard, I'll do laundry. There are a ton of other things that I'll do while I'm listening to something. Whereas if I have to watch something, I have to sit down and watch it. It has to get my full attention because there are things communicated usually when you're watching something that you have to see happen on the screen. So it's really nice to be able to just plug in, turn it on, either maybe when you're driving somewhere or whatever, and just kind of listen to it while you do something else.
Well, to me, listening is like, it has the same effect as reading, right? My mind becomes now this imagination place where I'm imagining what these things look like, right? So that's why like being read to is such a cool thing, because if I don't show you the pictures in the book, then suddenly your mind has to fill in the gaps. And I think it's a very active process. Watching something when someone is telling you this is what this looks like, I think it's a different situation. So those podcasts, all of NPR stuff is mad dope to use in the classroom. But for our little friends, wow in the world, I beat this to death all of the time. Also, Radio Lab for Kids is very good. But Wow in the World is a science and technology podcast for littles, kindergartners, first grades. And they tend to be lengthy now. They used to be really short. So you look at that, it's 10 minutes. Now they're getting really half an hour, et cetera, et cetera. But they deal with a lot of really cool pieces of subject matter, from everything from animals to the weather. All of your K1 science standards, you're going to murder those over and over and over and over again. And the kids just have to sit and listen.
I think Medina is having some issues. OMG, why do I have open a Chrome tab for sound? Help, I'm going to quit. LOL, I hate Canvas. Oh. They're mean to me because I'm different.
The Canvas situation, I mean, the Canvas is interesting. It's extremely interesting. I think there's a way to put RSS links in there. Don't quote me on that, and don't like freak out if you can't figure that out. But again, the whole thing here is simply clicking that embed code, saying, I want that. Great. Here's the workroom. Great. Change. Paste. And we're done, and have a situation where those kids can read and listen to stuff right on inside their assignment, where that's the assignment. You listen to what you need to do and answer the questions after it. Really, I mean, again, Canvas, and we kind of, I like Canvas a lot. And when we talk about what I just didn't like how it was rolled out to our district, but Canvas is a Bugatti. It's a Bugatti Veyron. It's a powerful, very, very, so it's got that huge V12 engine. And in order to handle that power, you have to know what you're doing. You can't just, here's this, you can't give somebody who just got their first driver's license and say, here are keys to this high performance sports car. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunate because it is a powerful tool that has a lot of great features, but I think so many people have been soured. I don't think it's limited to our local district. I think across the country, the way that this tool has been rolled out, it's overwhelming. There are so many parts and pieces which can be powerful, but if you give someone all of that all at once, it becomes frustrating and overwhelming because you're not sure what to focus on. It's like trying to just like make your way through the woods when you have no idea what direction you're supposed to be going. You can't make sense of, I guess it kind of reminds me of like, so when you roll onto a new team or a new project in software development, one of the things they tend to tell you is go read the documentation, which is great. But if you don't have any sense of what's important and what to focus on, it just becomes this fire hose of information. And I think that's what's happened with Canvas is it's this fire hose of information, not only for teachers to build things in, but for parents as well. Like trying to navigate what's happening when teachers who haven't been well equipped are trying to create things that are then difficult to navigate, and then the parents are trying to navigate these difficult things from these teachers who weren't well trained in the tool. It's like a whole big awful cycle.
It's it's unfortunate. But I think going forward, hopefully we'll have people who take their time, build the courses over the year, and kind of step back with the idea that, again, Canvas can be learned, it can be mastered, it can be done very, very quickly. And I just, on the screen right now, just an idea with the podcast. This is just a discussion page. Here's my podcast. You can write whatever instructions you want on there, and the kids can just respond. And the cool thing about Canvas is, you know what? I'm a kindergarten. Mr. Lane, I cannot type. Great. That's wonderful. You don't need to type, kid. Click. Upload, read, record media. Record. I want to turn my webcam off. And suddenly I've got a place that kids can podcast. They can podcast themselves as a response to a podcast. And so there are a number of ways to be very nifty in this space. There's various ways to be very nifty inside of Canvas. But again, that audio, they're going to be kids who don't want to show their faces. So like, again, the flip grid might not be my jam. But give me an option here where I can just go and record my voice. There are a lot of people who are going to, it's also, again, it is a growth area. Podcasting is not something that's going to go away. People like podcasts. People like to listen to podcasts in their car, as they're walking, doing their dishes, as they're doing their work. So why not show a kid a skill? Again, that's a college and career ready skill for them to be able to deal with. So I think we chirp college and career ready as like this reflex, but I don't think that we take a lot of time to actually think about what that actually means and the impact it actually holds when we're actually teaching kids. Because that's a reason why you would want to make sure that kid had the ability to do this.
Also, when we're talking about accessibility, we mentioned this when we talked to Valerie over the summer, that Twitter rolled out a feature where you could record a tweet that was audio. And it would just play like a little sound clip. And we have that on our phones. You can record a little sound clip and play it. And I know we've discovered in our little thread, like sometimes it's a lot more convenient to just hold down the button and say what you need to say, record it, and send it, because then you're capturing inflection, you're capturing tone. There's a lot more that you can capture when you hear someone's actual voice and what their intent is. And going back to it's a matter of accessibility. For some students, typing, maybe they broke their arm. Maybe it's a temporary situation, situational disability. Maybe they have difficulty with their hands. There's a really cool YouTuber I follow who has a disease where she can't control her fingers very well. And so something like typing is really frustrating, but being able to either record an audio note or dictate using her voice is much easier and more accessible for her. Going back to what I said at the top about how for some reason we perceive this as a crutch, we perceive it as something, we perceive it as something that, is less than writing for some reason. When in reality, for a lot of kids, this is either a scaffold, a stepping stone, or a very real and necessary tool for them to be able to even participate in the classroom. So why would you not? If this was an accommodation a person in the workplace needed, it would be given. So why would we not offer the same to students?
Well,
Bree comments on next. Okay, next on to do teach my daughter to podcast.
Indeed. And Medina, great idea. Yeah, I mean, Canvas has a lot of really great features. It just takes scaffolding, patience, and planning. And that's what I was upset with my day job, my current employer for, was that, look, slow down and let people scaffold it so people could understand what the actual tool could do. Build those scaffolds in, and you have an opportunity to have a very dynamic product. But when you rush, it's like good food, bro. You got to sit there and wait for it. If it's quick food, that's not the hustle all the time, right? Your mama's food takes some time to simmer and to cook. I don't want no 20-minute meal all the time. Sometimes it takes a couple hours. One of my favorite dishes on the planet, Taiwanese beef noodle soup. Literally, they cook the broth for like 2 days. And you're sitting there like, and then when you taste it, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. But it took this person 48 hours in order to get this product. You know what I'm saying? So, and given the podcasting thing, I come back to Wiser. If they were a publicly traded company, I would own stock in them. All right. So if you didn't want to deal with the hustle with the canvas, which I don't feel like dealing with that situation, I can embed right inside. There's my podcast right there. And again, I don't have to deal with canvas. It's just embedded. All right. I can rock and roll and do what I need to. It's really go ahead.
I know we didn't do Ask a Software Developer, but going back to the whole rollout of Canvas, something that I picked up in my time in the industry is like when we build something, we don't try to build the end product all at once. You start out with minimum viable product, the most basic features of whatever it is. You get that done, and then you come back and you improve on it. To roll out learning something as big and involved and powerful as Canvas, it should have been, here are the 3 basic things to get you through the first month. And then we're going to add on another skill. And then we're going to add on one more skill. And so we're just like we would teach in a classroom, we're spiraling that, revisiting that content, that knowledge, and adding a little bit on each time instead of like, we're just going to plop the whole thing on you. Enjoy, figure it out.
Yeah. And so again, shout out to Wiser again. Medina, spread the good word. And the other thing with this situation is, what do I have right there? Voice. I can record directly inside the product. So the scenario in which I need kindergartners to understand what I'm talking about, some kid who can't read, some kid who's a second language learner, I can speak Spanish, etc. I can record those instructions exactly where I need them inside of the device in order to do what I need to do. So again, the power of your mother's voice generally is this soothing, calming thing. I think the same thing for teachers. Your teacher voice, kids hearing your voice in a document, I think also is reassuring. It allows the kid to know that you're there with them as well. So it's just really, really, really at this point, your voice is a signature. Like you can tell whose voice is whose, right? So that signature, I think, is important for kids to make sure that they're aware of.
Medina made a great point. Your voice builds community. Hearing who you are, hearing that inflection. There's a reason why sometimes we prefer to call someone instead of text them. You want to hear their voice. You want to make that human connection of listening to someone. There's a reason people like audiobooks. I have 2 audiobooks in my queue right now. I'm working my way through 2 very different books, both biographies. I am listening to Ron Chernow's Alexander Hamilton and Jonathan Van Ness's autobiography, Over the Top. But one of my favorite books to listen to on repeat is Good Night, Good Morning by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Indeed.
It's because of that reason. It's just so soothing to listen to. That and Michelle Obama's Becoming, because she narrates that herself.
Dope. Audiobooks. Lamb is probably one of the funniest books ever to listen to. Lamb, if you're into quasi, it's not blasphemous, it's just funny. Anyway, Biff is Jesus's best friend, so he sins for Jesus. So if you've never read Lamb before and you just like funny books, it's a hilarious book. So it's just a funny book, and it's great to listen to. Anyway, kind of shout out to Bree in terms of podcasts. Podcasts, again, do not need to be complex. We get to the situation where it has to be this polished, wonderful, this and that. Nah. You just got to be recording your voice. And that's one of the things that I try to make sure that kids know, they realize, they understand. It's just recording your voice. So synth to me is the easiest way to do this. You have voice memos on your iPhone, your iPad. When synth lives in the cloud, by definition, it's easier to send to different people. And synth again is free. I'm hit the login button here very quickly. Continue with Google. I've got an account with my school district account, but I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use the Hoodlums account. And the thing that makes this really, really cool is that you can essentially lock the podcast that only certain people can participate, give it a code. So you can lock it so your class has this free place to start and finish stories, tell their opinions about things, give current events, interview each other, all that wonderful stuff. So you only have 256 seconds at a time, which is another thing that I love about it. It forces you to be concise. I don't want to listen to you for 10 minutes. 256 seconds is enough. And if you need to have a follow-up podcast or something like that in order to tell me some more information, great. But it's not something that's really intimidating. It's a really short amount of time. So I'd rather you cut out stuff than continue to talk ad nauseum for 10 minutes. Go ahead, Webs.
And I think too, a really basic, okay, so going back to Bree had said, I want to teach my daughter to podcast. So if you have a tool like Synth, it has a very short time frame, and you do something basic like interview the people in your house. That's it. It doesn't have to be super highly academic, because if you think through what's involved in that, so they have to come up with a list of questions. What are they going to ask the person that they interview? They have to make sure that they can say their questions. So they need to be able to like record that person as well, record their response, and they have to keep it to this short time frame. So it gives them an opportunity. Okay, I'm going to ask one question and you respond. It also teaches them that give and take of conversation. They can't just say, you can't cut someone off. You can't like say, yeah, whatever. Like it gives them that practice of listening to another person, and then they can listen back to it. So they can listen to their own speaking and asking questions. They can do their own feedback to themselves. Oh, I liked the way I did this. I think I'd do this differently next time. So there's a lot involved, and even something really as basic as just go interview or ask one question of someone who lives in your house.
Or talk to your favorite stuffed animal. Have a conversation with them. Like, you could just use your imagination. You ain't got to talk to people. I mean,
your imaginary friend Steve.
Yeah, I mean, like, why we got to be messing with real people? You can mess with your turtle. You can talk to your turtle. You can talk to your cat. Talk to your dog. Whatever. But the 256-second deal, you click it. Hello, my name is Mr. Lang, and I'm doing some stuff with webs on the webs, and we doing stuff, whatever. Awesome. So good. Gives you your time period there. Great. You want to make it sound like professional-ish. Hit the plus sign in front. Oh, cool. I want an intro chime, and I want it to sound like, yeah, that's going to happen when it comes in. Cool, that works. So I'm hitting the next button. Cool. You see that it transcribed what I said already. You click it. Hello, my name is Mr. Lang. I'm doing something, so already transcribed. I'm going to put a demo thing. If I want to hashtag, and hashtag it. Also, if you're a teacher and you want to add some documents here as well, so something that's going to support that. Here are my instructions. I recorded my instructions. Here's the Google Doc or the website you need to go see or whatever. Add it to it. So if I wanted to go in, again,
or a link to your Google Classroom.
Link to your Google Classroom, whatever. There. Yep. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to go in, click this exact podcast here. I'm going to put that link inside there and add it. So great. That's going to show the kids how you're going to listen to that podcast or whatever. Great, fine, dandy. Next. Publish. It does its work for you. Eventually. Maybe. Kind of. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Maybe it does. I don't know. I don't know. Perhaps it'll work. Perhaps it doesn't work. Maybe.
Medina's making a list. Also, glad we could bring you some joy, Medina.
Indeed. Let me see. Let's start this up a little bit. Here we go. So the demo thing is there. Great. I can thread it. So again, one of the things I did last year or last school year with the first pandemic situation was I essentially started a story with mine and had the kids finish the story, their version of the story all the way through. So
somebody wanted But So Then?
Yeah, but I kind of like used either horror or not like true horror, but I was like Harris Burdick stuff. I usually just steal and misuse Harry Burdick, and I'm like, all right,
Or
cool.
what's the other one? Once Upon a
Yeah.
Time.
So you can share it. What do you have there? Get embed code. What can I do with the embed code? I can copy that. I can go right inside this bad boy. I can say, yo, this is what oh, awesome. There's the embed code thing. I'm going to throw that in there. And suddenly, what do I have? The demo thing is inside of the canvas. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Mr. Lang, you're just an amazing person. No, I'm not actually. I just copied the embed code and threw it someplace. Same deal here. Great. Put the embed code in there. That thing pops in there, same deal. So if I needed to embed it, God bless America, we're good to go. So again, it's a scenario in which sound is a lot easier to get what we need to get things where we need to get it than perhaps we thought. I can also go and edit this when I would like to. So if I need to turn those things off, I can do that. I can also put that transcription right on up here. So if I need to get the actual words, I want kids to see the words. Great. I can use a transcription as the title or whatever, but I'll get the transcription here on the main page. It's really, really cool. I can create as many of these things as I would like, and it doesn't cost me anything. So synth, if you don't have that in your arsenal, add it to your arsenal. Again, it's great for, we got a Bree on the call. Yo, let's go and do story time where we're going to tell each other stories before we go to sleep. I'm going to record the first part. You're going to record the next part. Now I'm going to record the next part. And we just listen to the. Now, perhaps we have a novel by the end of the school year where we can write that novel down and suddenly we make money because this was just nighttime with Lily or whatever it was. All right. So I'm actually giving myself ideas. And I may do that myself. I may, give myself I need to retire from this game anyway. The other thing to kind of look at is the Student Podcast Challenge from NPR. If you're a teacher looking for strategies to podcast, this is where to start. They have everything. It's the contest is for grades 5 through 12, but you don't have to be a 5th through 12th grade teacher to access this stuff. They have the where to begin stuff. You got where resources for your teachers, resources for students. It's worth going through those things and checking those out. And they've got all the big heavy hitters on this joint. Sara Gonzalez is one of my favorites of all time. Sam Sanders is dope as well. Elisa Chang is dope. I actually was interviewed by Anna Kamenetz during the first pandemic, so that's kind of dope. Or the first stoppage of school or whatever it was.
Emergency learning.
Whatever that book crap was. So, all right, cool. So cool. We got the podcast now out of the way, but recording instructions. That's where, again, if you're not on the Wiser train, get on the Wiser train. You can record the voice instructions. You can record video instructions as well. So you're talking about hitting just opportunities for a kid to be successful. It's built in there. Where else can you do that? You can do that natively inside of Nearpod as well. So if you are a Clark County School District teacher or a parent of a Clark County School District student, and I'm just gonna, it doesn't really matter, use that one. Your teacher has access to this stuff. Yeah, got it, thanks. So one of the things, if I was a parent, I would kind of like, yeah, yo, why we not doing Nearpod if I don't see the Nearpods in my kids' situation? So that would be one of my AOs. So if I wanted to deal with that, hit the new, I'm gonna hit the Nearpod joint, hit the add a slide, and I'm gonna go here to slide, not to audio. This is gonna be uploading audio from your machine. Don't click that one, click the slide one. You hit the slide, at the bottom you'll see the audio option, and you'll see audio recorder. Click. Yo, sports fans, this is Mr. Lang, and this is a blank slide that I just want you to look at because blank slides can be fun too. Use your imagination to fill the slide in. What did you make? Bada bang. Now I can go and throw a picture in there and explain what the picture has relevant. I don't have to put all that kind of crap on a slide. I can still utilize my voice as narration. It makes it a lot more pleasant experience than you've put 3 paragraphs on the slide and want this kid to understand what's going on. So Recording the narration and whatnot with your voice does not have to be difficult because Wiser and Nearpod do those things naturally. And then just music for music's sake, just because music is just dope and you need to be making music in your class. So, like, because most of our people don't have GarageBand is a far superior product. But if you're using Chromebooks, Chrome Music Lab is free and it's really fun to have kids just give them a jam session, right? Let them just rock out or something. You see the little 10-year-old girl that can't challenged Dave Grohl to the drum challenge and whatnot.
I heard about it.
It's pretty dope, and the girl could play her behind off on the drums. And so I listened to Foo Fighters that whole day because I had seen the young lady play something. That and them. I listened to that. I listened to some old Nirvana too, but whatever. So that Chrome, that song maker that's there, totally free.
So this may be a thing that your kid, your student, whatever, it sparks something in them that they've never had access to before, and it may open up a whole new world of something that's really interesting to them because brains are weird and different, and this may be the thing that sparks some kind of like amazing fire in them that they want to become a musician all of a sudden or whatever.
You have a mic there in the bottom right hand corner so they can record their voice. They can whatever. They can change it so it's blocks. It's a drum kit. It's a conga drum. It's electronic. Whatever. They can change that to piano.
Can you export your music?
Yes, this is the only one on the tool that you can do. You can save it here. You can copy the link. So you can make this an assignment on Google Classroom, copy the link, turn the assignment in, copy the link, put it on Google Canvas, copy the link, do whichever. Can you download it? You can download the MIDI, but you can also
good old embedding.
Take the embed code and say, yo, that's great. Let me post a reply. Now, everyone play me your song. Okay, cool. Here's my song, Miss Medina. There it is. No, didn't want to do that. There we go. And it plays right there inside the bad boy. So again, music is important. And it's possible for kids to do all of the musical type stuff that we want them to do and still read. Who says you can't write a song, read your spoken word poem into the thing and create a backdrop for it, some kind of bass line or something that you're using. Go ahead, Webs.
Patterns. That's what I was thinking. Like this really lends itself to patterns too. So if you have a little kid, like kinder or pre-K or something, even like first, second grade, having them do some sort of pattern with their music, using it as the intro or the outro to their podcast. It can be something as simple as if you have just a smartphone that has like a memo recording, you have them play the music and then hold the phone up to record it, and then they go into their podcast. Oh, this is the super awesome podcast with Todd, or whatever they're going to do.
I totally forgot I wasn't sharing my screen during that entire time. So it is what? Yeah, I literally didn't share the screen. I'm looking at my screen thinking I'm sharing the screen, but I didn't share the screen. But this is what it is.
Oh, no.
It is what it is. I'll splice some stuff together. So, yeah.
I did share the link to Music Lab and Nearpod and Wiser in all the channels.
So this is like that. The embed code deal is like uber important. That's the embedding for the NPR. That's the embedding for synth. That's the embedding for just Chrome Lab. And you can make anything you want inside here. You can download the MIDI or the WAV file. They can take it and do other stuff with it. Like there's no limits. Then also don't underestimate the straight genius of little kids. Now, you know how I found Chrome Music Lab? Some little kid was farting around in my class making songs when they're supposed to be doing some other stuff. And I'm like, dude, what is that? Oh, I'm making a song. I'm like, all right, wonderful. Like, show me what you're doing. He's playing it. I'm like, dude, that's dope. What site is that? Ice Cream Music Lab. All right, word. So I started using it in my instruction, and I had him go and explain how it works for every other kid. Like, farting around is one of the best ways to learn a whole bunch of stuff. Because, I mean, you're like doing it for pure enjoyment. I'm just messing around, trying to see how things work, and then like stuff pops off. And so there's plenty of tools on this site that you can fart around and play with. But those podcasts and NPR, Wow in the World, definitely one I would like. If you have little kids that are very curious about how the world works, this works. Radio Lab for Kids is really good as well. As I said previously, that podcasting challenge, Nearpod lets you throw that audio stuff in there. So again, the Nearpod thing, the mistake people make is this: they will click and they will go to audio. Don't go to audio for this reason, because it wants you to upload audio. We don't want to do that. I want to record the audio native to the slide. So you go to slide. At the bottom of the screen, hit the audio button, and it gives you the audio recorder option. You can still upload a file if you needed to, but it gives you the audio recorder option there. Again, all those things, because they have the embed codes, gives you the ability to place those things there. And remember, you could podcast all the way through it, just make a Nearpod a podcast. I can put one picture on this thing and just record my audio right at the bottom of it. And bada bing, I have a faux podcast that I didn't do anything for at all. I just put a picture there and rocked and roll. Same thing for Keynote. If you use Keynote, picture, record on top of it, podcast, and we're done. Like, we don't have to do fancy introductions, outros, stuff. Just I'm going to talk on top of this picture. I got my little logo in the middle of the joint, and we're going to do what we need to do. All right.
I had first grade when I was a humanities teacher. They had to pick an animal and then talk about that animal over the course of a slide and then narrate it. Podcast. Super easy. Yeah, podcasting.
Podcast. The other
thing is, I think one of the most powerful things, I don't know if you said this or no, I think it's Carla Jefferson we interviewed over the summer. Podcasting is just sharing sound with the world. Something along those lines. I may be totally butchering that, but the essential thing was, a podcast is nothing more than sharing your audio to a wider audience.
The last thing is, music doesn't have to be educational to be used in a classroom. I'm tired of that bull crap too. Oh, that song has it has to be vocabulary when they're talking about, I don't give a darn about. If you just want to play music, just play some doggone music. All right. So let's play music for music's sake. Here I go inside, and I'm actually going to build a new page. So one of the things I would tell every person who's using Canvas, you should have one page that's just your radio station. Just one page that kids can just go and just veg out. I don't want to play right now. I don't want to write nothing. I just want to listen to some dope stuff because my teacher cool and she give me opportunities to do dope stuff. So all right, cool. So I'm gonna go to some modules really quickly. Don't want to do. Actually, I'm gonna make a module. I'm just gonna call this Radio Hoodlums. All right, cool. Excellent. So I'm gonna hit that bad boy. I'm gonna change that, make that pages. Great. I'm just gonna call it radio. Now, bada bing. So there's my radio station. I'm gonna click there. And again, this is not a scenario in which it has to be educational necessarily. What I'm gonna do? I've got Spotify on my computer. Here's Spotify. Great. All right, here's the Spotify. Spotify is awesome. Oops. Bring that down.
Yeah, earlier when I was trying to open Skype and couldn't remember the name of it, oh, there's a new comment. On the lines of music, I did 5th grade lunch duty, 90 kids by myself. The lunch aides couldn't handle it and cried every day. I started passing out song request forms and played their playlists. It worked like a charm.
People did sound, right? So
go figure. People are down for waiting on. It's like back in the old days. Remember back in the old days, you'd call into a radio station and request a song, and you'd have to wait and see if they'd play your song. It's like that.
So here's just a little playlist I put together. I call it Soul Hustling. I got the Knight Rider theme because I like the Knight Rider theme. I got Manhattan Street Band. I've got This Land Is Your Land, Sharon Jones.
All I can see is your
yeah, because I'm sharing this with the world. I'm not sharing.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Don't worry about it. So here's this deal. If you want to go and embed your Spotify list, I click share embed code. I copy that. I'm gonna go right on back to my page here. Great. Go here. I'm gonna go bada bing, bada bing. Now I got my Spotify playlist right there inside of it. Kids want to listen to Spotify stuff. Now I'm gonna hopefully have a situation which I expose them to new music. I play a lot of the Roots. Like Roots have a lot of clean songs. Kids are into. I got some kids who are in high school and stuff now and college. Which is like I love Black Thought. Why? Because I was playing in Black Thought when they was little kids. Now that being the case, this playlist will play inside there. Now, what if you like? Oh, okay, I don't have Spotify. I got Apple Music. All right, I got you, fam. That's cool. Now, same deal. I'm gonna go and open my Apple Music real quick. This is my Apple Music. I got Brian Eno. This is what I got on the screen right now. Brian Eno's Essentials Webs, because Brian Eno lets me like veg. I'm gonna click the little three dots there. I'm gonna go down to where's my share button. There we go, share button. You're gonna see where it says copy embed code. I'm gonna copy that. Great. Yeah, let the kids experience some life, man. Music is important, fam. And what I got Brian Eno's Essentials inside my joint. Utilize the music, fam. Let the youngest listen to some jams. All right, it don't have to be boring. It's only boring because you want it to be boring, fam. It's only boring because you want it to be boring. So, Spotify, I don't know anyone who either doesn't have a Spotify or doesn't have Apple Music. It tends to be those two things.
I had a realization that I think every teacher should listen to.
What is that?
One of the things I've found myself doing a lot recently is sitting on hold for a variety of reasons. And if there is one thing that will ruin my mood when it comes to being on hold, it's
no music.
Either no music or it's just like generic
craptastic
garbage. Yeah. So it just so happens I called. Who did I call? I forget who I called, but I was on hold and they were playing just regular pop music. And Cher, If I Could Turn Back Time, came on.
Indeed.
And my mood was 70 to 80% better when they finally picked up because I could turn back time.
Indeed.
So if you're trying to, like, we're all super stressed, music is a way to de-stress. So like if you give your kids this option of a radio page that they can just click on and they have some, different choices of listening to something, then I feel like they're going to be in a better mood, and so will you.
Indeed. I mean, again, music put smiles on people's faces, man. So
if I could turn back time.
Okay, Cher. All right, we got you. We got you. we got you.
They played the Cars too. It was great.
Indeed. So again, the Magic Embed Code lets us take things from different places and put them where our kids can get them. Canvas has the Magic Embed Code. It does not have to be push Monday's button. We're going to do some math worksheets. It don't have to be that way, fam.
Oh, death to worksheets, death to Microsoft.
It does not have to be that way. So when it comes down to it,
I say as we're on a Microsoft product.
Well, I mean, I ain't got no beef with Microsoft. I got beef with Microsoft Word. I mean,
and Teams and PowerPoint and Excel.
I mean, they make Xbox. I game on Xbox, so I can't hate.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, so I game on Xbox. Skype does work well for what we're doing as well, so I ain't gonna hate on them for that either. I will say they acquired Skype. They didn't actually build the secret sauce for Skype. Neither did they build the secret sauce for Flipgrid either. Even though they have Flipgrid, shout out to Flipgrid. If they're listening, they probably not, but shout out to Flipgrid. Product is amazing. They do dope stuff, even though it's affiliated with Microsoft. But if Microsoft wants to sponsor our show, I will be a Microsoft supporter. So if you show us them checks, we will talk big, big, big in favor of Microsoft products. So yeah, if you show me a check, we your biggest fans, fam. Biggest fans. When it comes down to it, again, the sounds are important. We can embed those things with podcasting tools. You can record your instructions. You can also, again, just use music. It doesn't have to even have instructional purposes. Just put some dope songs on there, especially like old stuff that the kids might not be familiar with. Play some like Duke Ellington, play some Dizzy Gillespie, some Charlie Parker, some Billie Holiday. Put that stuff, chop that stuff up, throw it in the joint, and let kids understand stuff. One of the dopest things my mother ever did for me, shout out to my moms, was when I'm listening to the Fugees album as a high schooler, and Lauryn Hill starts to Killing Me Softly joint. And I'm just like grooving, like, oh man, this is the joint. And she's like, what is this? I'm like, what are you talking about, Mom? This is Lauryn Hill singing Killing Me Softly. This song off the chain, man. Whoever wrote this mug is a genius. She was like, that chick ain't write that song, fam. So I'm like, okay. She plays me Roberta Flack's. And shout out to Roberta Flack, former teacher. So Roberta plays Roberta Flack's version, and I will tell you straight up, Roberta Flack's version trumps Lauryn Hill's version. I love Lauryn Hill. That was one of my first girlfriends in my mind when I was in high school. But Roberta Flack, that song is classic. It's a dope song. So let kids understand again that music happened before they were born, and there were songs that are really dope. And I think it also like shows you a part of your personality as a teacher, right? You play a lot of heavy metal and stuff, or like I love Metallica, so you play some Metallica, play a little bluegrass, mix it up sometimes. Let kids taste and stuff, and have them if they like something tell you why you liked it. If they don't like it, tell them, ask them why didn't you like that. I mean.
When I was in the classroom, I liked playing Me First and the Gimme Gimmes because it's like really upbeat. It's like got a lot of upbeat covers. There was one song in the album that I had that ended not appropriately for the classroom. So every time that song came on, I'd have to run over toward the end and skip to the next song.
Yeah. That's good. So I taught on the west side of Vegas for years, and I played
Three Little Pigs Trap song. That's amazing.
Yeah, that song's actually dope. Then I played Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill album in the class one day, and the kids were like, "Nah, Mr. Lane, this is not going to get it." And I was like, "Okay, let me change." It's like, "Nah, we're not feeling that." So I was like, "Okay, cool. We can change it. It's dope. It's cool." But sometimes it doesn't work. I'm not telling you that all the music is going to like pop. Sometimes the kids will be like, "That is whack," and I don't want to listen to that anymore. And gotta just change the joint. Other thing is let the kids be DJs too. Like again, I think that whoever said the whole hustle where you're like, hey, these are songs. It got to be school appropriate songs, but let them request stuff. You build the Spotify playlist and embed the joints. Be like, this is week's. And can you actually give shout outs? This week's playlist is curated by Susie. Shout out to Susie. This is Radio Mr. Lang, and it's our playlist for the week. Wow, and you good.
I'm gonna share in the comments one of my favorite music related things, and it's Bobby McFerrin playing the audience. And so basically it plays on some instinct in our brain of like how we process music. Also, if you're looking for a good book, This Is Your Brain on Music is a really good book. But so he plays the audience, and basically he has them sing like different intervals. And then like on the third or fourth try, he sings the first note. But then when he does the like visual trigger for them to sing the second note, he doesn't sing it, but they automatically nail the second note because your brain is just wired to want to do those intervals once it's been trained like what they are. It's really cool to watch. I highly recommend it. Go check it out. Indeed. It's just really cool. Music is super fascinating. Indeed. I am actually a music person. I started in 5th grade, could not wait to play an instrument, started on the trumpet, failed miserably. Also, I was allergic to nickel, so my lips swelled up, so I had to give that up. Switched to the clarinet, then played saxophone. Shout out to my band teachers, Mr. Phillips, Mr. Seiler, and Mr. Borma. Did marching band, did concert band, had a musical roommate forever that gave me the opportunity to play all kinds of random instruments. Like, music is amazing. Also, it's the reason that I don't spill my stuff because I can do that roll step like a pro.
Indeed. So that's been KRAFTWERK. If you don't know who KRAFTWERK is, go and look up KRAFTWERK. You have heard their influence your entire life if you listen to pop music. Music is history. Like if you go back, and shout out to Shanker Vedantam. If you are ever listening to this, I want to be on the Hidden Brain podcast at some point. He had a great podcast a couple months back about the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, which actually should be the Kansas flu pandemic, but whatever. And part of the podcast looked at music from that period and how people were articulating their pain and their sorrow and their suffering through music. Really, really, really deep stuff. It was really dope. And so having your kids go back and when they're doing research, say, okay, who was an artist at the time? And shout out to Woody Guthrie. So if you haven't been to the Woody Guthrie Museum in Tulsa, Oklahoma, go do yourself a favor. once the pandemic is lifted, go to Tulsa, check out the Woody Guthrie Museum. Really, really dope. He had the Dust Bowl. Like, he narrates the Dust Bowl for you through song. Really, really cool stuff. Had not known anything about Woody Guthrie beyond This Land's Your Land. Went to the museum. Was really like impressed with the guy wrote hundreds and hundreds of songs. He was a cartoonist. Just a very, very talented human being. So, music, history, music, science, music, math, music, reading, music with everything makes it better. Webs, any closing thoughts before we bounce, Boogie?
I would say, just if you find this episode helpful or you think of somebody you want to share it with, then share it. Our Patreon page is live. If you want to become a member of our Patreon, we'll give you some sneak previews of stuff and give you certain things ahead of time and ask your thoughts to get feedback to make our things better. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, but mostly like share stuff. If any part of this was helpful or you think it might be helpful for someone else, invite a friend to watch. If you see we're live, like share that link with somebody, post it in your favorite group or send it to a friend or tweet it or share it on your Facebook page or whatever. That is the way that we know that the content that we're making is helpful to you. And that's what our goal is to make content that's useful to you.
Big facts, big facts, big facts. Enjoy your Friday. We are back on the air on Sunday at 6 p.m. Sunday and Thursday is how we roll. So Thursday or Friday Eve, as we will now refer to it, Webs. Thursday is just not a good enough name for it for Friday Eve. And unfortunately, Monday Eve. We are also on.
Monday is a holiday, though. And Medina, thanks for the love.
I didn't see what you said. What you said?
Just love you guys, and don't forget we want to bring our classes together somehow.
And so with that situation, during the day, and I will give you a schedule, I will be live streaming some of my classes during my breaks during the day. So if you want to do some tech stuff, if you want to send your kids there, if you want to go pop on kind of like almost like a podcast-ish type show during the day, holla at your boy. And we can make that pop off, because that's one of the things I want to really deal with is us not being prisoners in our own like fake classrooms at this point. Like, there's no reason not to be free.
There are no walls. Why would we create our own walls?
No idea, fam. No idea. I'm about to do the thing, though.
Yes.
Indeed. Until Monday Eve, we will holla at you when we holla at you. God bless America, Belgium, France, and all the other homies.
Bye, everybody.